So yeah, we're gonna move on to our second. Unfortunately, we have another shooting to talk about, and that's the Colorado thing, right? The Colorado shooting. I'm sorry, and this is another a tricky situation, right? Because we had the shooting in Atlanta. It happened with Asian people, 6 Asian women dead, right? And now we go to this shooting, and we see his name, and his name is Ahmad Al Aliwi Alissa, and this guy comes from a Syrian family, right? So we just bombed Syria, and now we're gonna have like conservatives and like all these MAGA people be like, oh, thank God we bombed them Syrians because they're shooting up our stores and blah blah blah, right? So different narrative that they're gonna spin, right? All this. So apparently there was mental illness. He always believed that he was being followed, like very paranoid. Very beautiful mind type stuff going on, right? Making up stuff, being followed. I could only imagine what the how crazy that would be to happen to you. It happens to people all the time. But the fact that this guy was able to get a gun, get an AR, and then have a tactical vest, right? And no red flags went off. This is the problem, right? That anybody can just get these things in certain places and just create mayhem, right? And you never know when it's gonna happen. You might not always be able to stop it, but with regulations in place, right, we can prevent a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I want you guys to get in on it. Gio, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm wondering. So we just heard that Biden is going to propose some gun legislation. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah,
And
not sure what the details, but I did see that.
yeah, you were just talking about it. So I wonder how that's gonna go over. Like that's been a huge culture war issue for years now, and with the current political climate, like how that's gonna go over, and whether it's even possible in this country to do that without like some major overhaul, like changes to our culture and to our society. Um, I'm So this guy, they didn't kill him, right? They shot him in the
No.
leg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he lived. They arrested him.
yeah. Okay, so usually when you have a mass shooter, they usually capture him, right? They don't kill him outright.
Yeah.
And um, so
That's if they don't kill themselves before the cops get to him, right? Like,
yeah, so that brings to mind like the idea that why like a lot of black people are like blown away like left and right, but assailants or mass shooters are not,
if you look
right?
at the
Why?
picture of the guy, he kind of looks like he could be a white guy.
Hmm.
He has a
Yeah.
scruffy beard and just has a white face, kind of. Like
Hmm.
from afar. If you're just kind of going in trying to stop a shooter, you probably think it's a white guy. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could see how that they're like, oh, he's white, let's not kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so yeah, that's what I'm thinking about the fact that they didn't kill him, and but people of color are like even unarmed people of color are like blown away all the time, and but then the fact that his name is that like he has an Arab name and he's from the place he's from Syria, right?
yeah,
That's going to lead to like it's it's going to lead to some problems, I think, coming
yeah.
soon.
Hector.
Yeah, so as I sit here, listening to you guys speak, I start thinking about like, what could have been done to prevent any of this, right? And not just, this particular shooting, but any shooting, any mass shooting that came before that, where it seemed like these individuals were getting these guns almost, without any sort of like jumping hoops, just very easy to do it, no background checks or what may have you. I don't know what the current laws are in Colorado, but they seem pretty liberal when it comes to just picking up a weapon. But I asked myself, if someone told me, by the way, I want to just make this very clear to anyone that's listening and to you guys as well, that I'm not against guns. I'm for guns, right? Because I don't believe that the gun itself is, the root of the evil, right? It's all a choice in the human beings, regardless if we have like mental disorders or not, right? Like it still comes down to the individual. But again, so if someone asked me like, hey, Hector, if you know I want to give you a gun because I think that you're responsible enough and you'll pass a background check without any problems. But you just have to wait a little longer and you have to do a little bit extra paperwork and you might have to take a psych evaluation and maybe have to wait longer
And
and
pass also a gun safety class.
pass a gun safety class. Whatever you may have, you present it in front of me and I say, why is this for? Oh, it's so that we could prevent or we could make sure that you're capable enough and stuff like this is not going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will be like, yes, no problem, right? If you put it to me in this way. There are people who, even if you put it to them in this way, they still have a fit. They'll still be like, nah, man, I don't want to wait. It's the same kind of people that think like, I'm not going to wear a mask. Why am I going to wear a mask for how many months? It's already been 3 months. It's already been a year. It doesn't matter, man. Like,
Yeah.
the point is to just be as safe as possible, and progress as a as a country, as a community, as people. But we have people that think that way, right? And so, yeah, if you ask me, like, it's kind of like when you drive in the freeway, right? Like the mile, the speed limit for, California speed, highways is 65 miles per hour. You don't have people tripping out over not being able to go any more than 65 miles per hour. You don't have people saying like, oh, why do they want to keep me from going 68 miles per hour, right? You don't have that, right? But somehow we have sort of like, I don't know, it makes me think that, people think that their freedoms are being violated when in fact they're not. There's this disproportionate amount of people who believe that, and it's just, I mean, and I think these are the same people that support like the NRA, right? That special interest groups, they pump money into the government officials to back them up. Yeah, man, it's all backwards, and yeah, so like I said, if we're speaking on change, we have to start changing the narrative as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the way I put it, right? It's not about taking away your freedoms. You could have your guns. You have all the guns you want, bro. Or ma'am. Whatever. You could have it. Just let's pump the brakes a little bit, and then let's take it step by step.
For sure, man. And I'm in the same boat, right? We have a lot of friends that are gun owners, right? So, we have family in the military, right? So, a lot of people who know their way around guns. So, that's not the problem. The problem is there's people that should not even be close to a weapon of that kind, that can just instantly kill somebody if you hit them in the right place. There's some people that just can't handle that responsibility, right? So we have tests for everything. When you go get your driver's license, you got to show somebody that you can drive that car, right? And they test you on that. So I don't understand why something for a gun is so controversial to these gun nuts, right? On top of that, like you just said, if it were up to these dumb motherfuckers, they would have them behind the counter with the batteries, right? Let me get the batteries, let me get some Trojans, and let me get that, let me get that gun right there real quick. Oh yeah, yo, let me get that AR actually better. Let me take that one. Do you need a bag? Nah, I don't need a bag. I'll just carry my AR out the store, right? That's what these motherfuckers want, right? That's their idea of freedom, because these dumb fucks just can't fathom that these situations can happen while they're happening in front of their fucking face. It's like, Dick, it's hitting you, Dick. Hey, Dick, hey, it's hitting you, Dick. Dick, it's hitting you. And it's like, Dick, that would never happen. It can never happen, Dick. It can never happen. Like, Dick, that's what's happening. Like it makes no fucking no fucking sense to me, dude. So like you said, backwards shit. Does anybody want to add anything to that theatrical thing that I just did?
Hmm. What about the idea that like criminals don't need permits? Like a criminal is a criminal and is going to get a gun no matter what.
Okay, so in this situation, right? W- at least you prevent like that person from doing it in that way, right? So when you come to that, to the point where you're like, damn, now I can't get this legally, right? Do I want to go through the trouble now of getting this illegally? Now you're kind of jumping through more hoops to get your killing spree on, right? And I think that even that little blockade, before you get to the actual act itself, I think even that is significant.
Hmm. Reducing the amount of the potential for getting the gun,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So
Putting obstacles up, right?
yeah, putting obstacles, right? So if you really want to do this, we're gonna make you go through every hoop that you need to go to, to get it, right? And I think that's the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah, so the idea, that someone, is gonna get a weapon regardless. I mean, it's inevitable. I think that, I don't think any law, there's no law in place that could ever be put, or there's no law in place now, or there's no law you could put in place that could ever prevent 100% what we're trying to do, right? Which is, prevent mass shootings or just shootings in general. I think that, just just the way the universe is balanced, bad things are going to happen just as much as, good things happen. And, of course it's sad, but like Alan was saying, it's mostly for, to deter, for deterrence, to just make it as hard as possible for, anyone that wants to commit, a crime, I suppose. Right. I mean, I'm not trying to speculate too much. I'm not one to speculate on, like, go in the mind of when someone does something bad, because even like you have people who have done nothing wrong their whole lives, they just have one really 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 bad day and they just flip.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it could happen to the best of us, right? You just don't know, like when you get pushed to that limit, you just never know. So yeah, so even at that point, it's like I said, you can't prevent that.
Yeah.
The point is to get ourselves in a better place where not only we're able to show it statistically that is working, but also, have, the public feel much safer.
Yeah, and if there was like a background check that somebody had to wait for, right? You could change your mind while that background check is going through before you get your gun, right? You're like, hey man, last Wednesday I was ready to kill somebody, but that background check took a week, or it took 2 weeks, and now I don't really feel like killing anybody anymore, right? Something could have changed in your life within that waiting period, right? That could have saved somebody, right? Or maybe you did something less severe, like get into like a bar fight, or maybe something that landed you arrested, right? So now instead of you having your gun to kill somebody, you kind of fucked up some other way, and now you're in jail where you kind of should be because you were thinking about killing people, right? So yeah, I think those are things in the universe that can happen, that are important, that that I think answers that question, Gio, that you had. Yeah. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear some of the issues that you care about discussed on Discussion Lounge, go ahead and drop them in the comments section.